Wide receivers. Do we go back to Jefferson? Do you know all three of Darnold's interceptions were on targets to Justin Jefferson? And all
Really?
three of them were in the end zone. He had a horrible game. I tweeted that was a bench worthy game if they weren't 6-2 at the time.
Yeah, I don't. Who's their other quarterback?
It doesn't even matter. I think it's like Nick Mullen or
Is
something.
it still him? I love that guy.
I think it's Nick Mullins, but it doesn't matter. That's how bad Darnold. He was that bad. But Jefferson's got Tennessee. Interesting spot. St. Brown has Jacksonville. I'm so with you though. I don't want to pay the 8K
Yeah.
for a St. Brown right now. This game could go a million different directions, all of which point towards Detroit scoring a lot of points and nobody in the passing game being viable. Cup and Nakua are very expensive right now. You can try and figure out which one of those guys or Adams and Wilson on the same team. I I think I might be living in the pay a premium for both running backs and go mid-range or lower tier for wide receiver this week.
That's fair. If I have to pick a high range wide receiver, it's going to be Tyreek at 74. Uh, just I'm willing to go there. No, he's quiet, and maybe it is. Maybe this is like a serious problem with the wrist and whatnot. But you get the ball in his hands, he's still Tyreek. I'm not as high on Tua as you are, but it's no doubt that they're both in play, and the price is just good. So I'll go Tyreek. You could go Jefferson, obviously.
No, Tyreek's my guy too. For sure against this Raiders team. I'm not worried about. Look, do I love that the wrist is like that he has torn ligament in his wrist? No, obviously not. Is it going to keep me from playing him? No. That whole game, you said it. Like everyone kind of like the whole game was a weird game, and he still had 2 carries. So you're giving this guy rushing attempts and you're worried about his wrist, right? Like he had 2 rushing attempts running into traffic. He was only targeted 4 times, but no one really was targeted much in that game. I'll go right back to Tyreek Hill here. I still think he's $1,000 underpriced. Yes, he's my top guy. And the only reason it's not Jefferson is because who do I prioritize? Justin Jefferson, with the way Sam Darnold has looked lately at 8,600, or do I prioritize McCaffrey, Kyron Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, Achane, who don't need to rely on the production of a quarterback?
Again, yeah, a lot of these are just situational. These are all really good players up top. St. Brown is the one that he's in a dream matchup, and it's
Yeah,
really difficult to
it
play
is a
him.
dream matchup, and it's so tough. You're right. It's so tough to get there. But if he ended up being in the winning Millie lineup, I wouldn't bat an eye at it.
But again, neither would I. But I wouldn't bat an eye if it was Gibbs or Montgomery
Yeah.
or
Or Jamison
Jameson.
Williams.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, of course,
Or hold on, I'll do you one better. Or the Lions defense.
it's a million. Yeah, or no Lions, and they all are just like,
Yep.
oh, they had 3 or 4 offensive touchdowns. Everyone gets one, and we call it a day. That's the problem with the Lions. It's not that they can't. Like, if one of these guys has 3 touchdowns, that's in the cards. Obviously, it's just so difficult to rely on touchdown equity like that.
If Laporta plays, that means you have Gibbs, Montgomery, Laporta, St. Brown, Jamison Williams. That's just the 5. And then you have random guys like Raymond or Patrick that if they're active, end up getting a random touchdown. And when that happens, if you get the random that helps nobody touchdown from Detroit, that is the
You
worst
get that every week. Detroit
every
is
week.
intentionally trying to do that, it feels like.
Like Brock Wright finds the end zone.
Yeah,
It's
Brock Wright or Zilstra or an
yeah.
offensive lineman. I mean, they
Right,
just,
right, right. What'd you say? Penny Sewell the one
yeah,
time?
they're trying to get Penny. I mean, Penny Sewell is the best player in the league, honestly, but
He's
that's neither here
amazing.
nor there.
Yeah, he's amazing. No, it's Hill. I just can't justify paying for Adams and Wilson right now. Although I will say, if they're unowned, there is part of me that looks at a Devonte Adams and goes, this guy might have 12, 13 targets again. He has 11 and 13 targets over the last 2 weeks. The big game hasn't been there. I don't want to write off Devonte Adams yet in this matchup against the Colts. The target share for him is through the roof.
I
Not
I'm not
there.
sure.
That's okay.
Not really.
That's okay.
I can't do it.
How about the mid tier? Don't tell me Brian Thomas again, please.
No. But seriously.
I want to play Pickens so bad, but I think 7K is that's this Baltimore defense is atrocious right now. The pass defense.
You
I
you
thought they
definitely
would have
can play
improved.
Pickens. It's just tough with the
It's
price.
I really thought they would have improved, man. And I, egg on my face for that one after that. I really thought they would have improved. They haven't at all.
Certainly not scientific analysis here. Kind of feels like a Debo week. 6,800, good tournament play there. It's still Debo. And you have all these weapons back in. To me, logically, you'd be like, well, now they're all back. Debo, in some ways, that makes them all more potent. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
when Debo's thriving, it's actually when they're all there. And I don't like the range. I really don't have a ton of interest in Zay. I'm not looking to go to London or Mooney. JSN is a little too priced up for me. We know the problems with the Packers. I think people will go back to Ridley. But man, I don't love the mid range. I'm gonna go flyer with Debo.
No issues at all. Any week, any one of those guys can have a huge game. It just sucks that Pearsall's now involved. It's not like okay, Brandon Ayuk's out, so it's just a handful of guys. They're willing to use Ricky Pearsall, and he looks pretty good. I'll go. You know where I'm actually going to go here. You'll appreciate this because I was thinking DeAndre Hopkins. I was thinking Sutton at 5,900, both of whom would be perfectly reasonable plays. I've been talked a lot about Miami. Give me Jacoby Myers on the other side.
Okay. I mean, Jacoby Myers was crazy busy the last time we saw them against Cincinnati. So
It's him and Bowers. That's it.
yeah.
They have no run game. They probably fall behind, need to throw. I actually like Jacoby here in this spot. I respect this defense for Miami in the secondary, but I think volume might get you there this week. So give me Jacoby Myers at 5,600.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. And this is an interesting point from chat. Debo more potent when all of them there, but Amon-Ra not. The difference to me, the Niners weren't functioning as a potent offense without them. You would ideally love for your guy to be the only guy, but not at the expense of not scoring. The problem with the Niners when they were all hurt, they just didn't look good. Whereas the Lions are killing everybody. It doesn't seem to matter. If it was just St. Brown, though, and they could still do that, he would be the best play on the slate in a landslide.
Also, you're paying an additional 1,200 for that.
Yeah. Yep.
And Amon-Ra St. Brown is better from a per game production standpoint. I don't think anyone's going to argue that. But
I'm the biggest St. Brown guy. I've told you for a while. I think St. Brown, and now I think he kind of is, but he's in the top tier of all of them.
Oh, definitely. Here's a crazy part though. Do you know how many games with more than 8 targets he has this season? One. It was that 19 target, crazy 19 target. One game with more than 8 targets. Now he steadily gets like the 7, 8.
That's $1,000 a target when you look at the salary.
Yeah, right.
That's not going to get it done.
That's a pretty crazy number. Yeah, like give me Hill at $600 less in a spot where like if they're going to really run it up, they're going to need some Tyreek Hill. All right, Myers, you went who did you go? Debo?
I'm going to go Debo again. You got to put it in context. Debo is going to be really low owned. Courtland Sutton is there. But yeah, I think that the Niners, just by a product of having the offense somewhat intact, will have more to go around, and Debo's still a very explosive player.
Agreed. All right, the low tier. We might be living here a lot this week. I think it's very possible that we kind of end up here just by default a lot. Juwan Jennings is 53. Cedric Tillman's 53. One of the guys, and I'm going to throw one out to you right away. One of the guys that I think we're going to need to look at, and I think he'll have some ownership, but not a ton. And I think people will want to go to Tillman, which I wouldn't blame them for. But Elijah Moore has been involved. Amari Cooper's gone. You still have Jerry Jeudy. You have Cedric Tillman, who's been involved a lot. But you look since Jameis Winston took over, and it's all this talk about Tillman and David Njoku. Elijah Moore has 21 targets in those games. He hasn't outproduced those guys, which is why he's been, under the radar. He had 12 targets and 9 targets against Baltimore and the Chargers, respectively. Lack of, underwhelming production, but 4,300 for a guy that's running routes on the majority of dropbacks and has been really heavily involved and one of the top targets for Jameis Winston. 4,300 is a spot that I'm absolutely looking at.
I get it. It's not high converted targets, but the targets are there nonetheless.
But it's also a much better matchup. It's a great matchup.
It is. It is. I'm not going to push back on any of that. What else is down here? I mean, there's really not, people will go to Turkey Pearsall, and I get that. I'm not going to recommend another Niner. I think I might ride with Demario Douglas. Again, I think part of it is if you want to go to Drake May, but Douglas is going to be fine. He's at home. I don't really fear the Rams defense. He's 4,700. Is got a nice PPR floor, 14 targets in the last 2. They don't really score a lot of points. So the upside's a little freaky because he has 1 touchdown on the entire season. But I think you could go there on a skinny stack.
Who was it?
Demario Douglas.
No problem. I have Kayshon Boutte in there too. 3,500.
Yeah. I don't know what to do with him. He's more of like a Shaheed type in my mind. Like it feels like if he gets a couple, but his floor is a little lower.
It's definitely low. He ran 29 routes last game though. I want you to see this real quick. He ran 29 routes last game. That was a route on 100% of dropbacks. Okay. Douglas ran 18. Jalen Polk ran 10. KJ Osborne ran 16. There might be something here that we're overlooking. There might really be something here that we're not talking about. Like Boutte over the last 2 weeks has run 81 routes. The next closest is Henry at 70, Douglas at 59. 81 routes. The dropbacks for Drake May, 82 over the last 2 games. So when you look at this, Kayshon Boutte, that's going to be my guy down here, I think.
I like this. You're making a real good case.
I think I'm switching. We might both end up here. He has played 96 and 97% of snaps. Whether he is the best option in the passing game, to me, is more relevant than the fact that he is out there running a route on every single dropback. If you need value, $3,500 Kayshon Boutte is going to be my guy.
I like this. I like this a lot.
Yeah. Plus, if you end up being wrong on this, you go, well, he was out there the whole game at 3,500. What am I supposed to do?
You got to be out there. I saw this last night. Colby Parkinson, the slight problem with him, he wasn't out there. He just wasn't in the game. You got to be out there.
Yep. Yep, exactly.